everyone. So we're going to talk to you about what everyone has been talking to you about all morning, but it seems like we've taken it from Mr. Breeding's big picture to Jesse and Bob's national picture, and we're going to bring it down even more into a smaller picture, but just keep the same story going. Cool. So I'm going to introduce myself first, and then I'll let Wally take it. My name is Mollie Myers. I'm from the Euless Public Library. Where the heck is Euless? It's a suburb. Noise. It's a suburb right next to the DFW airport. So one small city in a massive array of cities. I wrote down library staff member by leaps, and I don't even know what that means. Oh, yes, I do. I started off a waitress at the City of Euless golf course, worked my way up to assistant food and beverage manager, then hopped over to payroll technician, because that's your obvious next step. And then from there, I hopped into the administrative secretary of planning and development, and then hated that. And so there was an opening at the library for the secretary in the library, grabbed that, and then I found my home, I found my people, I found all of y'all. So I've been around, but in a good way. I am now made it to library circulation supervisor. That's what I do every day. I love it so much. I always had a job just to put a roof over my head. I was there for the paycheck. Now I'm there for more than the paycheck, and it's really cool. By night, I am a wife and mother of two, adopted two kiddos out of foster care, and we have a beautiful life in Azle. So that's me.
And I'm Wally, and obviously I forgot to add things to my bio. So I don't exist. No. I'm the technical services librarian at Prosper Community Library. Where is that? We're on the north end of the Dallas Tollway, almost due north of town, about 30 minutes. Well, I can make it in about 20, but yeah. I'm a father of three, a grandfather of one, dad to a great 100-pound dog that is Murphy, and he is awesome. I'm the trailing spouse in our family. I've followed my wife around. We've lived in 7 states. I have been a teacher for most of my career. And now have kind of found my people in the library setting. So I've kind of learned this really coming up through the ranks of, I don't mind getting into a computer situation and just playing around until it fits. And that's what seems to be a great fit here, because y'all all teach me a lot.
Not me learning about Wally for the first time. Because we're just so professional, we talk library all the time. So I wanted to let everybody know, for those who aren't familiar with the area, when we talk about our Koha-US NTX, this is what we mean. This is the DFW Metroplex. It is huge, over 9,000 square miles, 200 incorporated cities, 7 million people, very diverse communities throughout. We've got strong sectors in tech, finance, healthcare, transportation that are part of the Fortune 500. So there's big companies here and a lot of little things in between. And so a part of that is we have 64 public libraries throughout. There's 6 major universities, all of them having libraries. There's probably, I don't know them, but there's specialty libraries in there, I'm sure, as well. It's a massive community full of all sorts of libraries, all sorts of people, and all sorts of communities that need libraries. What I have picked up from y'all that I'm not familiar with is every library is its own system. There are consortiums, but we don't have a statewide system. We might have county systems here and there, but there's so many counties just in this map alone. So it does confuse a lot of patrons, especially those who have made their way to the DFW Metroplex, where they don't understand why one library has different rules than a library 5 minutes away. So that's something that we struggle with in our space. So, but let's talk about Koha-US North Texas. And I want to be a little transparent here. I feel a little bit like imposter syndrome right now because I've been with Koha since 22. But I was a secretary when we first started, so really I was just paying the bills to buy water and stuff. So I didn't really get involved in Koha until the last year and a half. And as soon as I did, I started with this group here. So a lot of what I talk about, but I think that's in a good place for this presentation because we're going to talk a little bit later about what makes up this group. And I'm a prime example of who makes up this group. So the Koha-US North Texas did not start with me. It started with Spencer and Ed in McKinney, Texas. They had an idea of, hey, we need to get, after the Koha conference in 2019, they thought we need to get like a regional group together. But then COVID happened. So that kind of died for a little while. They started by emailing a bunch of directors in the area and by trying to get word of mouth out. But with everyone dealing with COVID and everything, it just never really took off until 2022, which is around the time that I joined. When did you hop in? Just recently.
Yeah.
To our group.
23.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, y'all might know David DeGata. He also was a big part of this group and getting it going as well. So Ed and David started talking to us at Euless and said, man, it'd be really cool to have these meetings in Euless because it's so centrally located. So we started having them there. And in true Mollie form, I took over. So once we got a steady in-person group of about 10 folks, we started to gain more traction and get more word of mouth, get more libraries signed up. So now we have about 20 libraries that come and hang out with us quarterly. So what brought us together? The shared geography, the shared ILS. And in that ILS being open source and being everything that we've talked about all morning, about how Marshall, I think it was, that said that Koha is about community and collaboration. This is just taking that down to an even smaller niche group of folks who might share similar communities and struggles and Texas legislation and stuff like that. But the community that Wally helps out in Prosper is very different than the one that I see in Euless, is very different than what they have up in McKinney, is very different than what's going on in Allen. So we can compare and contrast what everyone is going through and take from it what we want and leave what we don't. But this is where I get a little mushy foo-foo-y. But again, it's kind of what we've been talking about all morning. When you make a connection with someone and you peer pressure someone into checking out your small little group, you bring them on board and you kind of help to damper their fears that they might have in joining this massive open source Koha-ism, right? Like, and I can say that from my own stance. Like when we first joined Koha, they're like, it's open source. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but cool. And so they're like, well, you have to be part of the mini queue. You have to go to these things. And so I would creep in on SIGs, but I still didn't fully understand 90% of what everybody was talking about. And so I went to this one with Ed, and then it was a chance to really commune with each other and sit down and ask all the stupid questions that I was too scared to ask in a SIG or at the conference that I had gone to. So this, yeah.
And I was going to say, when I first started, my group was anybody that answered a support ticket. In other words, I didn't really understand. Open source to me was still a little bit of a foreign concept in that when I needed something, I just opened a ticket and then I would get an answer and it would go back and forth, back and forth. What I learned from this is that my tickets have gone, first I will say I have learned a little bit, but my tickets now are, I don't say few and far between, but they're not nearly what they used to be. I go to my people I go to you all, that sort of thing, instead of submitting a ticket every time I need to have just something that's little or whatever that, and then how did you do this? So I think this is almost a better ticketing system with us as it is trying to go back and forth in the email, trying to get to the root of what you really need to happen. Support, Brian, is absolutely phenomenal. The folks that they have there at Bywater, those of you that are supported, y'all know they're your lifeline. But I have found another lifeline. Like I'm fishing on both sides of the dock, you know. And there are times when I pull out the big bass with everybody else, and sometimes the big bass has to come out from a ticket. And so I think that's where this was really kind of born and has flourished in the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I was also going to say that when we first got Koha, we didn't even know what to ask for to buy water tickets. So we got so many ideas of, oh, that's how you're using it. Oh, I didn't, because we were still in Polaris mind. So we came from Polaris, we transitioned over to Koha. And everyone transitions for different, migrates for different reasons. Ours was, we really wanted a roaming service model and we really wanted web-based. And so we were using Polaris Leap. And I know mixed reviews. I was totally happy with Polaris Leap, but there were so many folks that had been at the library for so long that they were going to staff client it out till they couldn't any longer. We could not get them to Polaris Leap. And so Koha was our way, and the director was also like, it also saves us quite a bit of money. But Koha was a way to kind of force that migration for everyone. So like, hey, then let's all start new together on something brand new. Ed gave me this quote and I put Joanne ? I put that this morning while listening to Jesse and Bob's. I was like, oh, was it Joanne that said that? Because the email that I got didn't have the person who said it. But a koha is a gift that comes with or fulfills an obligation. It implies that there is an ongoing relationship between the gift giver and the gift receiver, and that this will be an exchange at various stages during the relationship, which is what Joanne said in that little video that, like, y'all just propped us up for this presentation. I appreciate it so much. These are a couple things that some folks have said that are in our group. With each meeting, I gain a boost of confidence and knowledge and that has made me more capable and ready to explore other tools Koha has to offer. And every meeting I attend, I walk away with multiple new tools and ideas that I have put into practice at my own library. And I think a lot of this just goes back to the confidence that you can get from a smaller group if you're not ready and capable extrovert. So it really is like from all skill levels. I didn't know what API was or a SIP connection, to things that I say almost daily in a sentence now. And if you're sitting in front of me right now and you also aren't familiar with those things yet, buckle up, but also relax, because if you can go home and make a group like this, then those are the folks where you can confidently ask those questions of each other. So let me, before I talk too much, go in. So I'm going to tell what happened, why our group works for us, and feel free to chime in at any point if I'm missing something. I think it really started to grow with the Euless location, because in that big DFW metroplex, we're smack in the middle. So no matter where you're coming from, folks are able to meet in the middle. So it's like an hour drive for Wally, an hour drive for somebody down south. It is really awesome to meet in person, which I think is something that we also get out of these conferences, right? It's all the conversations in between the sessions as well as the sessions themselves. It's the lunch, what you learn at lunch, what you learn on the outings afterward. Same thing here. So if we can get folks to come to Euless and then after the meeting, we sit and talk about something else, you're just gaining so much insight about what Koha can do for you, and that it's totally doable, whether it's a Bywater ticket or you figuring it out yourself. But we also took it a step further. We do have the hybrid option for those who can't make the trip. They chime in, and then we have an email group. So we continue the conversation, or you can start one up. Our meetings are quarterly. We didn't want them too often as to burden, but often enough where we can stay in touch with each other. And then if you don't have, or if you have something that you really want to question to now, we also have our own channel on Mattermost. If you don't know, Koha is on Mattermost as well, and it's a really great online forum where we can talk about stuff and spitball, that's the word, back and forth. So now I always start off with my Koha North Texas group. I start my question there. How do you guys, I need permissions for this specific person. What are my options? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, ask the bigger group. And then I'll go to koha-US and put it out there. And 9 times out of 10, that has answered my question. So I don't have to go to Bywater and put in a ticket.
But I will say too, though, that the idea that we have when you get together with people and you begin to develop the relationships, it's not just networking per se, it's getting to know other people. So back in the old days, those of us who were born, well, yeah, in the 19-somethings, we pick up the phone and just call. How did you do this? Whatever. Now we can email back and forth. We can chat when we get together in the quarterly meetings. It's not, and I hate to say, it's not just Koha stuff we talk about. That is the focus. But we do library things like how do you handle this situation? And then that may be that we end up putting it to a Koha, meshing it in with Koha preferences or whatever the case may be, or workflow, but it's also helping us to become better libraries to serve our patrons, to serve our people. And so I have found it to be a very valuable experience and group of mentors to work with.
Yeah, like we can talk about 20 minutes about a process that Wally's doing in Prosper, and I can tell, well, that's a cool idea. I don't need that, but how can I make it work for me in Euless, or how could I possibly use that in Euless? And so you're right, we're not talking about Koha anymore. We're talking about procedures and processes. But it's also not just about the actual things that are happening in the meeting. It's then building friendships and connections, and then having the ability, bless you, I can email Justin directly because I know that he did something at his library and like, hey, man, do you mind shooting me that code? Stuff like that as well. So, making sure I'm not missing any points because I feel like I'm going really fast. Okay, the meeting itself. I keep it very loosey-goosey. I don't send out an agenda at all. When we're talking on Mattermost, I might reply to somebody and be like, oh, this will be great if you don't mind us talking about it at the meeting as well. And so, like I said, we have quarterly meetings so that we don't meet too often. There's no agenda. I think another thing is to just have somebody lead it. Which, again, I did. But I will say that was intimidating the first couple of times because of my ignorance of Koha. So really, I was just like, who has things? And then I got up the courage to be like, well, I learned how to build a report. And I would show my very elementary skills, but I was fully supported by everyone in the group. And then somebody would ask a very scary question about jQuery or something. And then the conversation would continue. And everyone was chiming in. We don't have a secretary. We don't have any kind of organization like that. It's all very loosey-goosey. You take the notes that you want to take. If somebody says, hey, can you make sure to share that? They'll post it in Mattermost or they'll send it in an email. We follow up with each other individually because the group is small enough to make those connections where you can be like, oh yeah, Marion Bedford was doing that. Let me go email her and ask her. So when you build those connections so closely with each other, it is so amazing the amount that you can get out of Koha that you wouldn't be able to on your own, possibly. I know everything is out there to do, but when you get busy in your day-to-day, having this quarterly meeting to like prompt the conversation to even happen helps so much.
I will also say one of the things that does, no, we don't have an agenda, but at least twice, 2 times of the year, the hot topic of conversation is the new release. whether it's coming out or whether it has come out. Some of us in the group,
Early adopters.
yeah, some of us in the group are early adopters, and they give us the warnings of what's coming down the pike or the celebrations of what's coming down the pike, and tell us what to look for. It's a great discussion. Usually, I will say that the releases tend to be a good starting point for us most meetings, because that will then lead to other discussions. So,
And a question I always ask in every meeting is, what has somebody done that's cool in Koha, and what has Koha done that's pissed you off lately? And that tends to trigger some conversation as well. As the host, I make sure that we have the room, that we have a hybrid option. And then for everyone else, just show up. You can show up with something prepared or not, with your notebook or not, with your laptop or not. There is no expectation of those who come. I just want them there. So I try really hard to get folks to just attend, and nothing's expected of you. You don't have to talk. You can just be in the space. There's no pressure if you don't want to discuss anything. And we set 2 hours for the meeting. But like I said, we don't have agenda, but there has not been a meeting that hasn't lasted over an hour. So even when we don't have much to say, we still have a lot to say and a lot to talk about. And just the fellowship over Koha is awesome in itself. We use that time to learn other people's processes, procedures, communities, positions, overall library philosophies, and more. What a successful meeting needs, I think, is 3 things: a space in which to have it, communication and promotion of its existence, so just spreading the word, and that in-person speaker to keep the conversation going. All right, so Koha Hood in action. This is where there's lots of ways to engage in this community, and that's what makes Koha so awesome. And even, I keep saying the scary thing and the confident thing, but that's kind of my whole driving force for this small regional group myself, is it has done me so much good. And I've had other folks who were not computer savvy at all said, oh, Molly, well, if you can do it, I can do it too. And it makes more folks a member of the community. And then it's so cool to learn Koha. So I'm learning SQL now. So attending KohaCon, this is my 3rd conference to attend. I get so much out of them. So whether you can attend in person or virtually, I think it's very important to do so. It helps so much. Join the chat and mailing lists that Jesse and Bob mentioned in their presentation. Even if it just comes into your email and you don't do anything with it, you're still taking in all that information and you're learning more than you even realize. And when I say attending the meetups, I mean SIGs, as well as any groups you create on your own. And then support Koha development by testing and writing code. Some of you do that. That's cool. And sponsoring fixes through a vendor. So if you're able to, and I'm still working on this myself, but keep trying to push to give back to those fundraising efforts that are in Koha. And then share your knowledge. So share your library data, your user statistics, whatever you've learned. If you did something cool at your library, I highly recommend putting that information out there, because so many of us don't know what we don't know. So we still don't know what's possible. Like, we just changed our holds to pull to a very cute little rainbow theme, and that like made my day. So, but I didn't know that that was possible. So little things like that, if folks continue to put their information out there, it helps everyone. And then start your regional group.
all right, so let's segue into special interest groups. This is taking the smaller, wait a minute, where are my notes? Hold on, oh, there they are, I see them. Yes, got it. Feel like, yeah, I feel like, you know, when you win, when the winners of the Oscars and stuff get up there in front of the stage and they have no idea where they're supposed to look or what they're supposed to say. That's what I felt like right then.
Find a friend, Libby.
Exactly. Just, I don't think I want to picture any of you naked. But anyway, and I am on, right? Yes. Okay. So, so let's dive into the special interest groups, or the SIGs. We decided we wanted to take this to the next step, because the local stuff, if you're in the state of Montana, it's kind of hard to have somebody right down the road, other than bison or wolves or something to meet with. So, the hybrid aspect of things that we mentioned in whatever is an excellent way still for you to get together on the small level group. Then, though, if you're not able to have to get a cohesive group, because again, it took some effort to even get our DFW group together and get the idea sold of trying to come together once a quarter. You can also get involved. I shouldn't say involved, because there are enough introverts in the room that involved is like tune into. Is that a way to say it? Tune into SIG groups. I'm going to go through the SIG groups in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about, they're more of a national level group that kind of hold a special place in which we can collaborate and grow. They bring together people with shared interests, because again, you're going to see that we talk about cataloging, we talk about acquisition. So the subsets of Koha are what kind of happens in these SIGs. So now let's do, why do SIGs matter? So hold on, yeah. So we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into it. So put on your snorkels and your goggles, and let's look at the world of SIGs, shall we? All right. Now that we've talked about the concept of SIGs, let's explore the current special interest groups and their focus areas. Okay, thank you. So baby devs. Lizette is not here. She is the head of, let me see, she's the kind of the leader of the group. I'm going to step out over here so I can see better, so I'm not staring at the screen. Lizette Shear is one of the group leaders. Jason is also a very important part of that group, in that when I go to baby devs, it's all like Japanese to me. If any of y'all speak Japanese or write Japanese, more power to you. To me, it's just the computer code, and all that is about the same thing. However, its module focus and setup is the setup and use of the Koha testing Docker, testing and signing off on bugs, and learning about development and doing things to develop in Koha. They meet on the second Thursday of the month. Times are presented. I encourage you to, even if I'm not a code person, to me, I did grow up in the era of COBOL and Fortran and the punch cards and all that sort of stuff. I tried to stay away from that as much as possible, but I know DOS and things like that enough to understand that something's going on behind the scenes to make this all nice and pretty. Same thing with Koha. One of the things I've gotten out of the baby devs is simply a marvel and appreciation for all that goes into making Koha do what it does. I watch them. Jason is a good example. They'll be trying to make sure a patch goes through, or testing something in the testing site. And if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, they figure out a way to get around it. And to me, that's like putting a piece of a puzzle together. To me, that's kind of fun. I don't know what puzzles they're working from, because I don't understand it, but it's fun to watch, and I pick up on little things that if they can do it this way, can we get it done this way as well? So that's, I think, even though it's a very technical special interest group, it's still a great place to go and get an appreciation for all that goes into making Koha do what it does.
And you just made me think of something that I forgot to mention. A great part of the regional group that I love is putting those two minds together, is putting the tech-savvy brain and its problem-solving abilities together with the frontline worker. So when we have meetings in Euless, I bring as many staff as I can while still covering the floor into the room so they can ask questions of how they are using Koha, and then those brains can be like, I just picture them like that lady with the chalkboard and all the math of just making the connections of how they can get that done.
Absolutely. Next. All right, so the next group and was in cataloging was run by Heather Hernandez. The advertisement that went out, I think, about finding someone to take over this group and become its leader had something to do with you need to be a lot of thumbs ups and you need to clutch your pearls. Angela, if you don't have a set of pearls, you need to get some because that is a very important aspect of this particular group. So, Angela, are you here? You are here, right? Is she back from lunch? I don't see her. So, oh, okay. Well, she's running. She's running for the hills. Angela just volunteered to take over leading the group, like very shortly ago. So cataloging is if those of you who are in cataloging, God bless you. Second is they kind of become their own subcult in a way. You know, it's a thing that I mean, we have all of our stuff in when you go searching for a book or searching for an item or figuring out how to manage this kit or how do we classify this piece of media or whatever the case may be, and finding all the MARC records and stuff that go along with that to make it where it is accessible by the potential users, both staff and the group. So they get in the cataloging meetings, they're talking about a lot of the tricks of the trades, how to deal with imports in the Z3950s, dealing with marks, what are you using this line for, et cetera, and all things cataloging. They meet on the first Thursday of the month. Times are posted. I would highly recommend that you grab a set of pearls and get in on that meeting. Next. John and Georgette are the gurus behind circulation. Obviously, we all deal with circulation if you work in the floor. Dealing with everything from online patron access in your OPACs, circulation, patrons, user services. Georgette, could I ask y'all to raise your hands or whatever? John, raise your hands. So they're here. Can you give us a little bit more about the atmosphere that y'all try to provide in your meetings once a month?
Wait, Georgette.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't know if it'll feed in my phone. That's why I wasn't.
I think we just we're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We don't have an agenda, although I do John and I do put one out occasionally to see if anybody wants to add to it, anything like that. But mostly it's just come to the meetings, talk about you know, a lot of times we have somebody just ask a question and then it starts a conversation going and then we're like, oh yeah, and ours is doing this, or you know, I'll make notes sometimes like, I need to talk to the group and see if I'm misunderstanding something or that. We generally don't talk about like coding or, you know, anything. That's not what we do. We're the frontline people. So it's just a fun way, just come in, talk about circ. It's very informal. It's very casual. Anybody's welcome.
Can you get a theme to what we're talking about? There's not been an agenda typically. It's basically, again, getting people together. I would say my experiences with circulation has a lot to do with how Koha can help you manage your workflow, how to deal with patrons, how to deal with how your catalog is presented, and things like that. And sharing among the group, how did you make it do that? What did you do? It's again what Molly said earlier. I didn't even know to ask that question. And so the conversation takes you to that next step. Consortia. George, this is one area, I'm a tiny little old library, and I don't understand consortia that well. George is the kind of the guru of consortia. Those of you that are part of a consortia can appreciate probably, I would think, what this SIG does.
So this is George, for the benefit of the people online that can't see me standing up there because I'm not standing up there. So the consortia group meets the fourth Thursday of the month, and we have an ongoing agenda on, it's a Google Doc, and it's got just a space for each month of the year. And we often go into it with no items on the agenda. Generally what we do is we get together and I say, okay, nobody submitted any items to the agenda. What do you guys want to talk about? And then we talk for an hour. And I don't think it's like what Molly was saying. I don't think we've ever not talked for a full hour. If we've not talked for a full hour, it's been like 58 minutes. There's always something to talk about. I will make a mention that the September 25th meeting, I will not be leading that. Bob will, because I will be at a different conference. And we will have our regular meeting in October. But it turns out that the fourth Thursday of the month is Thanksgiving in November. And this year it's Christmas Day in December. So we've decided to have just a joint November-December meeting on December 11th. So slightly off of the norm. But, you know, we focus on libraries that are more than one branch. So if you've, you know, there are some libraries like the Community Library Network in Idaho has 9 branches. They're one taxpayer organization, but they have 9 branches. They would fit into this group. The group that I work for is Northeast Kansas Library System. I have 44 different libraries operating at 50 locations. There are different things that happen when you have multiple libraries with multiple rules and multiple patrons and multiple philosophies about how to run their libraries, that it's nice to be able to talk with other people that do that work to get ideas about different ways you can do it. So.
And I would also, I know like in Christopher Georgette's situation, they're cross state lines, you know, with different laws and such within their consortia. So the commonality there, again, is Koha. How are you going to make it work for you when the workflows can be different? You can use that same ILS, you can use the same systems or whatever, but you've got to have your individual, you've got to customize it to meet your individual needs. And within that group that you have, it's almost a subgroup of what we're talking about, like North Texas, whatever, where we're totally independent. Y'all are independent. Every library is independent, but you're all married together and doing things by way of Koha. And so that how we have this situation and this library has this situation, even across state lines. How do we get that to mesh together so that we can make Koha work for both of those situations? Then demonstration, it hasn't been as active as I would like to see it be. So if you're interested, please contact the powers that be at info@koha-US.org. The module's focus, though, is configuring, populating, managing the Koha-US demonstration site. To me, I wish the demonstration site was more
Active.
Yes, active. That's a very good word. Active, because that's where you can go in and play. There are terms that we use like sandboxes and all those types of things, or servers that you have, a test server that you may have on your
Mollie.
Okay, Molly. Test servers and stuff. My little library can't afford a test server. I'm trying to get them to figure out how to find that kind of work, but that kind of situation. But the demonstration site should be more active and be able to give you the opportunity to go in and see some of the things that are yeah, try something and available to us that maybe we didn't even know was there. George?
This is George again. I just wanted to say that one of the things that we should mention about the demonstration site is that that is hosted and supported by Bywater Solutions. They gave us that site to use. And primarily, I think what it's being used for is when Christopher and I do our videos, we often use the demonstration site as a test place where we can show those videos, where we can do that programming without having to worry about divulging the names of actual people in our own systems. But this demonstration group, I was part of it when it was brand new. And mostly what we focused on was getting the site set up. And since it was set up, we haven't really done much with it. So this is the opportunity for somebody to say, hey, we should do this crazy thing with it, and then go do that.
This is Jason. I guess I'm the only member of the education committee here. The education committee is actually taking this on. So if this discussion interests you, you should join the education committee rather than this SIG. So we're looking at possibly dissolving the SIG itself and then folding it into the education committee, having somebody on that committee. Oh, Fred's here. He volunteered for it to sort of be our sysadmin for the site. And then we have been discussing, like, Rhonda does a really great job using it in SIGs to demonstrate acquisition stuff. So we've been discussing pushing it more out to the SIGs, the other SIGs for use to demonstrate and do things with. So I'll just reiterate, because Sarah said so online, she's one of the leaders of the education committee. Like, if it's something that you're interested in helping develop, join the education committee. We can always use more hands there.
Thank you. All right, next slide. System administration. Oh my gosh. Juliet, tell us a little bit about it. And Juliet's last name is pronounced Heltebridal. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. I just love saying that. I feel like I should be like up in Scandinavia or something like that. And, you know, like any of y'all that remember Golden Girls, you know, I feel like I'm Rose talking into. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So this is Juliet. I just took over the system administration group this past year and inherited it from Andrew, who kind of led it in kind of a free form, but we did usually have an agenda. Our agenda basically was, what bugs are you interested in? What reports have you been making or do you need help with? And what other things do you want to talk about? And that really works really well for us because those are the things that we're interested in. One thing about the system admin group is that we kind of touch on everything that the other groups do. We might talk a little bit about a circulation issue or a cataloging thing or a consortium problem. And often we'll get people who come to our meeting who gets told by one of those other groups, hey, that sounds like a question for system admin. And we get our thinking caps on and we kind of work through problems together. And sometimes we have to come back the next time. Sometimes we forget that we were going to come back the next time. If you're in that group, please put it back on the agenda if you want to talk about it again, or send an email out to the group for it. One of the things I noticed Andrew used to do this, and I do this too. Somebody will ask a question in the group, and then I will probably look like I'm gazing off into space. And it's because you've like triggered something in my mind. And now I'm looking at my other screen and I'm looking up and trying to find something out. And I've forgotten that I'm leading the group. And so it's a fun, I enjoy it. It's probably my favorite of the SIGs just because we do a lot of problem solving together.
And all of us, I'm sure, have to justify what we do. So what I get out of it a lot is how can I make it give me the data I need or how can I find out how to get the data I need to justify whatever program, whatever situation that we're trying to do? Do we need to stay open more hours? Do we need to have more staffing? Yada, 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 all those types of things. The systems through its reporting and all that is where I go. And this group is an excellent group for that.
I just want to say real quick, also the system admin sounds scary if you're not a system admin, but I've chimed into those as well, and they gave me just enough confidence to push buttons in my own Koha. So I've learned a lot from going to those as well, because someone gave me powers to touch stuff. And
Web development, Lucas handles this one. Basically, this was the one that I got started in. This was the first SIG I went to because I wanted to figure out a way to make the visual aspect of and the communication aspect of Koha something that not brought our patrons in from the street, but brought them, instead of coming up to librarian X and say, can you help me find so-and-so, or where would I find this, or what do you have in this area? Making that where they could go to the card, not the card catalog, God knows, that is really dating me a lot. To the catalog and figuring things out and making it a welcoming and personable experience, something that is easy and intuitive, etc. Also, one of the things he helped me with was all the notices. I wanted to be able to get information out when somebody checked out something or when we were closed or whatever, in ways that could come out and be received well by our patrons. I felt like this was where I kind of wanted to go first. Of course, I've gotten in on everything else, but Lucas does a phenomenal job with this. I don't know that he meets every third Thursday. I think he still does. This summer was a busy summer and I did not get a chance to get in on the SIGs as often as I wanted to, but that's an excellent one there. Before we go to the next, because I know this is my last SIG slide, I didn't do acquisitions, did I? That skipped. No, I did it. It's in there. You can back up to it. You can back up to it. It's the first one, I think. And I don't know how I skipped past it. Go more. That one. That's it. All right. Rhonda, you're up. Tell us a little bit about acquisitions. What's the discussion there? I usually try to get in on this this meeting as well. Before you go, Rhonda, I'm a spectator in most of these. I have learned so much by just sitting there and listening to everybody else. And this is a prime example because I'm not in acquisitions, but what we talk about has helped me so much.
Yeah, so we meet on the third Tuesday of the month. Again, we don't usually have an agenda. There might be a topic that we're going to talk about. The last few meetings, we've done kind of a back to basics thing where we just, how do you set up a budget? How do you set up funds? How do you order? How, just the real basic stuff. And questions pop up from that. I'll just, like Jason said, I just pull up the demonstration site and we play with it, and show this is how you do all this stuff. And people will be asking questions. How do you do this? Where do you do that? And with the group knowledge, we usually can come up with an answer. And it's just, I would really encourage people that don't use acquisitions now to come, because acquisitions, I get the sense, is kind of scary for some people. If you just come and spend some time and we can give you that confidence that that you might need to push through to the next step.
So I think the bottom line to the idea of SIGs, as it ties into the idea of regional groups, is that you can come together, and like I said, I sit there and I'm a lurker observer person that will gleans a lot of information without really being a whole lot of a active discussion person. All right, next.
all right, so dishing regional groups and SIGs, kind of like what I was saying earlier, I feel comfortable starting with my regional group, asking them. I love going to SIGs and being a spectator. If you haven't gone to SIGs yet, you have a friend because Wally will probably still will be in there, no matter what SIG it is. And you, even if it's not something that you personally touch, you will still learn from it because all of this in the end touches each other. There's got to be a better way to say that, but in the end, it all works together. So the more you know about all of it, the better you can do it at your portion of it. So quickly to summarize how to start your own regional group, I recommend emailing those directors, emailing any of your current contacts that you have right now that you already know. Maybe you're going to a techies group already or a youth group or whatever you happen to go to. Tell them that you're starting this one. Decide on a meeting location and book it, confirm it, make it happen. So go ahead and book the space and then tell people it's happening, even if it's just you and one other person there to start. Leave the first meeting with a call to action for everyone to bring a friend next time or for them to help spread the word. I think word of mouth is what helped us get as far as we got, more so than promotion or telling our begging directors to share it. I think us inviting each other really helped. And then if you're the one starting it, find your inner circle. So we have a small group within the larger group that kind of makes the moves happen and convene with each other to think about other ways to do it. So and then you also divide up the work. So not everyone is taking on the full load. So I was in charge of booking the space, making sure there's snacks and being the MC. And then Ed got us started on Mattermost. We started the email group, stuff like that. Also, snacks are important. Bring snacks.
And then basically, I've said this before, just go and if it's your first time and you're afraid the big bad wolf is not gonna blow your house down, just go, tune in, go to the calendar, look at what SIG meetings are there. I would even, and then join. Time away from, if a lot of us may be floor people as well, so scheduling the time to go and spend some time, usually about an hour worth on the SIGs. Go ahead and tune in, listen, you'll learn something. I promise you'll learn. You'll walk away with something from almost every meeting, even if it's just collaborating with other people.
Yeah, which kind of segues into one connection at a time. The connections that we're making during this conference, the connections that you make during SIGs, what naturally comes out of it are those social connections through lunch meetings and casual chats and the small little conversations that happen in between sessions are where we really make a lot of our moves. We build trust. And again, my main theme behind all of this is building confidence, the confidence to do something, to learn more. And again, the thing that neither Wally or I are super tech pros. We have tech pros that come to our meeting, but that's kind of the whole point is everyone's welcome. Last meeting, we had library aides in there as well as a director and everyone in between. So it's just a group of folks talking about Koha and whatever that means. And we got a lot of awesome insight from the person who's on the floor 6 out of their 8-hour day to the person who's in their office writing code 8 hours a day. So it's a really cool thing to start and do, and everyone's welcome. And now that I understand and know what open source is, it's awesome. I love learning all the time. I love going on to Bugzilla and just sharing my opinion, even though that's pretty much all I can do. I'm sad that we can't vote anymore. I did like voting. You get out what you put in. The more connections you make, the more things you do in the community, the more you're going to get out of it as well. I feel like that's a common theme between everything we do.
All right.
Nice.
That's it. Y'all have any questions or?
Thanks for questions.
Yep.
It's an online comment, I have a leading question.
Okay.
So this came across, this is George again. Lizette made a comment earlier that I didn't bring up because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of everything. But Lizette wanted to point out that Baby Devs was a group that grew out of last year's conference. There was a discussion about development at that conference, and it led directly to the creation of that group. So I wanted to make sure that comment got passed on. Then I have a leading question. So if a regional organization or regional group or a group of people somewhere wanted to create a mailing list, how would they go about doing that? I know the answer to this, but I'm asking you guys so that we can discuss it.
I feel like this is a test. I feel like I'm about to fail it. At our library, we're very Microsoft Office 365 people. I made a group there. So I know that you can do it via Google. Our group has a Google list, but I don't manage it. And I'm a control freak and I don't know how to get management to that. So I should probably ask George if I can do that. So yeah, I went rogue and made my own. Did you just shoot me, bro?
No, no,
Oh,
I wanted to tell you how to do that.
okay, cool. Oh, so, all right.
You got it?
I should put that over there.
And I would also comment that Bywater site has a list of all of the libraries and such, if I remember correctly, that are supported by Bywater. You can always go and look at that list and pull down the ones in your region or whatever, because I think it actually says like Prosper Community Library, Prosper, Texas, whatever. And so you can look at that list and then know to reach out to those particular groups as well. George?
So what I was leading to is that koha-US created a list for Texas, I believe. The Google group and mailing list is managed by koha-US. And that's one of the things that koha-US can do for you. If you want to start, like if there are enough people here in New England that want to start a New England mailing list, all you would have to do is contact info@koha-us.org. And Andrew would be able to tell Christopher to set that up for you. And so that's one of the benefits of koha-US having access to the Google groups and to the Google suite of products is that koha-US can do that for you. And I think Jessie had a question. She's right here in front of
We have 1 minute.
Okay.
I just want to ask if anyone would be interested in leading an ERM or an electronic resource management SIG. We need one. If you're interested, talk to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Network, get together, do your thing.